Welcome to Caspio. In this video, I would like to show you how to build a basic contact management application from scratch so that you can manage and keep track of all of your contacts from within your Caspio application. So first, let me show you what we're going to be building today. Here we have a website, and on this page we have a contact us form that was built in Caspio, and we have it deployed and embedded in this part of the web page. The idea is to collect information from your website visitors, and upon submission you can log inside your Caspio built application through the Caspio login screen, and as soon as you log in, you're going to be able to retrieve that data using a Caspio report. When you click search, you can see all of the results directly from your website. You can drill down to details to look at additional information. You can also make updates. You can delete this record, or depending on the application that you build inside your Caspio account, there is more options for you available as far as functionality. We also have an internal form that's built, and this is also password protected. Here we can add new records to our table. So if we don't collect information from our contact us form that's on our website, internally, if we're on the phone or we get an email, we can add them to the system through this internal form. Now let's go ahead and go into our Caspio account and take a look and see how this application was built from scratch. When inside your account, you'll be taken to your dashboard, and here you're already going to see a sample contact management app that's already, by default, it's already inside your account, and you can explore it to see all the objects and how it was built. We're going to go ahead and recreate this application from scratch today, so I'm going to go ahead and click on New App. We do have the option to import data, so if you have data in Excel or Access database, you can upload it, or you can click on this button to start from scratch. Let's call our application Contact Management App, and as soon as you click Finish, you'll be able to see that application added to your dashboard. Let's go ahead and click on Open, and this takes me to the overview page. Here we can add notes, images, and just keep track of the overall progress. So this is mostly informational. On the left side, you'll see the control panel, and these tabs is what we're going to be using to build our application. These are all the various objects inside Caspio that we need to use in order to build our app. And the first place that you want to start is the tables. And when inside tables, we can click on New Table to build a table from scratch, or if you have existing data, you can click on Tools, Import, and bring your data in from either Excel or Access database. So let's click on New Table. And the first table that I'm going to build is our contacts table. This is where all the information regarding the contact is going to be stored. So let's add all of our fields to our table, and we're going to need a few fields here, and I'll explain in a little bit as far as what changes I'm making to each field as I go along. So once you've added all of your fields, for contact ID, we're going to have to make this an auto number, so we can see a sequential order of numbers, and once the contacts are coming in, so we can relate this table later on if we need to. Date submitted, from this drop down here, we're going to select that to be a date and time data type. Down below we have the comments section for our users to submit comments. directly from the Contact Us form. So if you recall, here is my comment section. And I'd like to make that a text 64,000 so they can type in more characters. Follow-up date for internal or for the office user to be able to follow up on an inquiry. And internal notes, we have the text 64,000 enabled for this as well, so we can leave notes internally for this specific inquiry. Once you've added all of your fields to your contacts table, you can go ahead and click on Save. And let's call it Contacts. And for this application, we're going to also create another table for our users, or authenticated table for the users to log into their account. So let's add all of our fields, and for this table we're going to add, let's add user ID. We have 4 fields for this table. We have the user ID, which also needs to be an auto number. That's how each user is going to be identified. We have the name of the user, email, which needs to be unique. And the reason why is because we can't have the same username twice per password. It's going to be a different email address for our users to log in with. And password is going to be encrypted with a smart type field. So you see an asterisk inside a table once you open it in the datasheet view. And once you're done inputting all of your fields for the user table, go ahead and click on Save. And let's call this Users Table. And right from the side of tables, we can go ahead and click on Open for both of these. So if you do that, you'll see a blank table because we currently don't have any records stored inside a table. It's a blank table. And same thing for the other table as well. And let's go ahead and add our first user. For example, John Smith. Test.com can be his email. And password can be John S. And as soon as you click on the second row, you'll see that auto number populated as number 1. If I add one more, April Smith. And let's have her password be April S. You'll see user ID number 2. And this is how the auto number function works inside Caspio tables. If you wanted to add additional fields to your table or modify these fields, you can click on Table Design, and directly from here you can modify each one of your fields. Once you're done inputting all of your tables and creating them, you can go ahead and skip now to Data Pages to start building your application. When you go back to Data Pages, you're going to click on New Data Page. And on the left-hand side, we have another control panel here. This allows us to build forms under this section. Here we can build different report types. We can build calendars, charts to display data or plot data, numerical data on the chart. And if you're a bit more technical, you can build a straight HTML page. Gives you more flexibility and functionality inside your Caspio account. So for us, let's build a Contact Us form. This one here, this is the first thing we'll build. We'll select Submission Form, click Next. And on the very first drop-down, this is how you're going to link your table to your data page. And for this form, we need a Contact Us form because that's where all my fields are. And here you can name the data page anything you want. This is for your own eyes. Here you can select a different style. This is for the aesthetics, the look and feel of your form. These are some preloaded styles that we have inside our account by default. Or later on you can go to the Styles tab and fully configure your own look and feel to match the look and feel of your own website. For us, let's go maybe with a sample style. We're going to leave this blank for now. I'm going to discuss this later on in the video. On this screen we can choose which fields we would like to use in our web form. So I think I'm going to need to have all of my fields except for the follow-up date and internal notes. Those are going to be for internal users. So these are all my fields. We're going to go ahead and click Next. And when you get to this screen, Configure Properties, this is more or less your main screen. You're going to see all of your fields on the left-hand side, and you're going to be able to make modifications on the right. So date submitted, we have a text field, but for this I'm going to make this a timestamp, so it's a hidden field. The user is not going to be able to see it. but in your table later on you're going to be able to see that date and time of the submission. Then we have first name. We can make this field required, which means they have to fill that in before they can submit the form. And then just go down the list and modify all of your other fields. And then last but not least, we have the comments field. Instead of text field, why don't we make this a text area? That way they can actually see a box of what they're typing. Keep in mind that you also have other options for radio buttons, checkboxes, drop downs, list boxes. So there's a lot of functionality that you can put inside your web form. For now, let's go with a text area, and here you can customize the width and height accordingly. For contact preference, why don't we actually change this into a radio button? And for the first option, let's say phone can be one radio button. Click on new. Second one can be email, and last one here can be, we can say no preference. Once you're done making changes to all of your fields, go ahead and click on Finish to save changes. And here's our first data page that we built. You can preview this now to see what the form looks like. And if you're happy with the look and feel of the form, and as you can see, it looks very similar to the form that we have on our page. We just have to make a few more modifications. But if you're happy with the design and how the form looks like, you can go ahead and click on the Deploy button now, right next to Preview. You can enable access to this form, and Caspio will provide you with this embed code that you can copy, and you can paste that code into your HTML script, into your CMS. Caspio is compatible with a lot of tools out there. If you're using GoDaddy or Yola or Weebly, it is compatible, so just go ahead and drop that code into your HTML and publish that web page, and then you're going to be able to see that form seamlessly embed into that part of the website. Now that we have our form built, why don't we go ahead and build a report that's going to show us all of these submissions. And for that, we're going to click on New Data Page now. And instead of a submission form, now we're going to go ahead and build a report. And the most popular one is the tabular format, which shows you your rows and records and columns. You also have the option for gallery, list view, direct to details, or a combination of chart and results. So let's go with the tabular format. We're going to click Next. And again, same as the form, we're going to link our report to our contacts table, because that's where all the information is going to be. And let's go with the same style, sample. Click Next. Let's have a search form, the ability to search our data. So if you remember from our website, we're going to have this search form for our report. So let's click Next, and let's include the company name and first and last name to be able to search our results. So again, I'm going to go back to our website to show you what it looks like. Here's the company name, first name and last name. There are my three fields. I'm going to click Next. And here we're going to modify each one of my fields on the left-hand side. So we have the company name. It's going to be a text field. Had I made this a drop-down, for example, this first field would have been a drop-down instead of a text field. And the same thing here, we have the comparison type set to equal under company name. I'm actually going to make this to be contains. And the difference is, if you leave it as equal, that means I have to know the exact company name before I can pull up that result. But if you leave it as contains, you only need to know partial keywords. And just to speed up the demo, let's go ahead and make everything else contains. And click Next. On the results page. So what's the results page? Let me go ahead and click Search on our website. And here are all the fields that I'm displaying on my results page. We have the date, first name, last name, company, title, phone number, and email. Well, let's do the same thing here in our application. So we're going to include the date submitted. We had the first name, last name, we had the company. And let's see, what else do we have? Company, first name, title, phone, and email. So title, phone, and email. Now you could choose to display department and additional fields if you'd like. That's up to you. I'm going to leave these fields. Click Next. I'm not going to make any changes to my results page. Actually, let's take a look at our website. We have the email field, or the column, which is clickable. So we are rendering this value as an email. So let's go ahead and back to our account. And under email field, right now it's rendering as a text. Let's render that as an email link. That way the email is going to be clickable. And here by default you can actually pre-populate the subject field if you'd like. That way you don't have to manually put it in once your email opens up. We're listing 25 records per page. Let's see how many we have on this website. We have 25 records, that's correct. So let's leave it as 25. We also have the ability to delete records, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to enable that function inside our account to delete. Let's click next. Yes, let's enable a details page. If you choose to disable a details page, then this link here is not going to be clickable. It's going to be disabled in our column. So let's enable it. And in our details page, we're going to include all of the fields. And notice that in the details page, when you hover over each one of these fields, it's going to be display only by default. And what that means inside the details page, notice that our fields are editable, but had you left it as display only, it would have been just like this, where you don't have the ability to edit that record. Okay, so let's go ahead and make a few changes here. So the contact ID is going to be display only. Date submitted was left as display only. And then for first name, instead of display only, let's have that be a text field. Same thing for last name. And then you can go down the list and make changes to your own fields depending on how you wish to modify your application. Down below we have just a couple of things here that I'd like to show you. The follow-up. Let's change the label here inside this field to follow-up date. And let's have that be a text field. And notice that Caspio gives you the ability to have a little calendar pop-up. It's going to be a small icon next to that field. And underneath follow-up, for internal notes, instead of display only, I'd like to have this be a text area so that I can type in more information regarding this contact if I'd like. Click Finish and close. So here's our second data page that we built. We can go ahead and preview this now. And again, it looks very similar to our already built application. Let me go back to the search form and notice that there are my search fields. It looks exactly like the preview. If I click search, notice that we don't have any data because our table is empty. However, if I preview my form, let's say this form is already deployed on my website, and if we make one submission, and these fields, notice these fields are not required, so we don't have to go through the entire form to fill it out. Just put a random phone number, and then we'll say ash@test.com for email, preferences phone, company Yahoo, and no additional comments. Click submit. And as soon as that submission goes through, you can get notified via email to let you know as the owner. And now let's go ahead and search again. And now you're going to be able to see that one record inside your application, because now that record is inside our table and we're able to pull it up from the contacts table. We can also go to details and notice that we made a few of these fields editable. The rest of them are display only. And down below we can set a follow-up date when I'd like to follow up with Ashley, and internal notes, call her back on the 22nd. Click update. And now that update is made for that particular record. Let's see, what else are we missing on this application? So there was one more thing that we needed to build, which is the internal contact form. And here it is. Okay. So it's basically a recreation of our public form that we have, the contact form. So instead of us clicking on new data page to recreate the form, why don't we go ahead and just click on more under the contact form and click on the copy link. And let's call this contact form internal contact form and click save. Okay, and once you make that change, we just need to make a few more modifications to the form. Let's go ahead and click on edit. Click next, next. And notice that I don't have to input all of these fields again because we already did that in the previous form. The only change that I need to make on this form is to add my 2 additional fields to the form. And down below, let's just make a quick change to the label, follow-up date. And internal notes, we're going to make this to be a text area. Click finish and close. And now let's go ahead and preview this form. And there is my add a new contact form that's built. We probably could have removed the comment section because we don't need to put that in, or you can leave it if you'd like. Let's go back to our account now, and notice that each one of my data pages is still public facing, which means there's no password protection. If we look at our example, we have a logout link here, and that this data page actually has a login screen on top of it, including the internal form. Okay, so we still have to have one more functionality inside our account to be able to add this login screen on top of the data pages to password protected. Let's go back to our account, and the next step here is to create an authentication for our users. Let's go ahead and click on this link. Let's add a new authentication. And what we're going to do here is we're going to select our table that contains our credentials, which is the user table. We have the option to do the express login, which is a little bit easier, or you can do custom if you wanted more options available as far as adding more functionality to the login screen. Here we have the ability to use the Caspio data source, which is recommended, or you can use ID services if you wish to have users log in through Facebook, Twitter, or Google. Let's go with the Caspio data source, recommended. For email, notice that the username label is the label. Let's change that to email. And then we also have password here, and that's going to be the label for our password. And when you're done, go ahead and click on create at the bottom. Let's call this user authentication. Click finish. Oh, we already have the same name, so let's go ahead and call it user login. Okay, so there's my user login authentication, and the last step that's left in our application is to apply this authentication to our data pages. So let's go back to data pages, and the two data pages that need to be password protected are a report and also our internal contact form. So let's go ahead and apply the authentication to this form. Let's click next, and if you recall from earlier in the video, I had left this area blank. Now I'm actually going to apply this authentication to our form. So we have to enable this checkbox for restrict access, and we're going to go ahead and apply the user login authentication that we just built to our submission form. Click finish, and if you preview the data page again, you'll notice that now it requires a login screen for us to log in and be able to enter that value or those values. Same thing for the report. Let's go ahead and edit. And on this screen we need to enable a checkbox and apply the authentication to this data page. And we're not going to apply it to this one because this data page is public facing, and we want our users to be able to submit the contact form directly from our website. Once you preview the report, you'll notice that this report now requires a login screen as well before we can look at all the inquiries. Once you have configured and built your entire application and you apply the authentication, the last step that's left is to finally deploy the application to our website, and you'll have to deploy all three of these data pages to your landing pages, and your application will be up and running, and you'll be able to receive messages, and you'll be able to manage those messages inside your account. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the video.